Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the studio. I brought some fun show and tell items for today, since it is the beginning of February and a brand new month, and it's printmaking month. So we'll get to these in just a second. If you are new to these videos, this is our weekly update of what's going on in all of our classes, our preschool classes, our big kid classes, everything, as well as some housekeeping stuff. So if you've got kids taking classes in the studio, it's a great place to get information about what they're learning. And then at the end of the video to catch some housekeeping stuff of what's just going on in the life of the art studio, what registration deadlines are coming up, what programming is coming up, all those things. Sound good? We're going to start off just by talking about the calendar for this week, because I feel like this is important. Today is obviously still January, even though my video says it's February week 1. That's because February starts this week on Wednesday. So all of our programming will start on Wednesday. My Monday and my Tuesday classes are still finishing up January projects. They're still in January week 4. So if you're wondering what your Monday and Tuesday artists are doing, go back and look at last week's video and you can see those acrylic projects and how those are wrapping up. Also check out social media because we posted some pictures of their finished pet portraits and giant abstract paintings. And what did their big, our big kids did the fruit still lifes. So those have been posted onto Facebook and Instagram. So you can check out those and see how those kind of came to life. But today we're going to dive into February's curriculum. Monday artists for multimedia and drawing have classes tonight. Monday preschool classes are still happening today out in the Flatwood studio. Liberty doesn't have Monday preschool classes. And then Tuesday classes, they're still drawing and they're still multimedia because you guys need your 4th class of the month. But my preschoolers for Tuesday, you guys don't have class tomorrow. So if you are in preschool fundamentals, that 9:30 class, or a toddler art and play class that meets on Tuesdays, you don't have class tomorrow. You've already had your 3 classes. We will see you next week for class. If you have questions about your schedule, you can always ask me. A quick Facebook or Instagram message is the best way to reach me. You can also check your schedule inside your Sawyer dashboard. So if you go into your Sawyer account, you can see a calendar that has your schedule on it. I know it doesn't have a lot of uses maybe for our grade school and up kids because you guys meet 4 times a month, but especially for my preschoolers who only meet 3 times a month and you always have an off day and you're like, I don't even know when that off day is. This is a great place to get that information. You can even export that calendar to your iCalendar. Is that what Apple calls it? I'm an Android person, or to your Google Calendar. It'll sync up. So that way it's always on there for you. All right. So let's dive right in. We're going to start with our preschool classes. So I didn't bring any. Oh, I did bring one thing for show and tell for preschool. So preschool classes are diving into printmaking. Remember, we always have like an art media focus. So they are printing this month. So it's printmaking month for them. They also have a like an art focus, not a media focus, but an art focus. And theirs is on portrait and figure this month. So they'll be working on making humanoid type figures. And then they always have an art history focus too. So kind of to go along with those two, printmaking and figure, they're going to be looking at the art of Liechtenstein and the art of Andy Warhol. And so our first book actually has to do with Andy Warhol, and this is called Uncle Andy's Cats. And it's a fun book, kind of a silly book about the cats that live with Uncle Andy in his studio. So this is our first book of the month. They will get to make some Valentine's Day art because it also is fun to work with the seasons. So they will they'll get out the jelly plates on week 1, which is a printmaking substrate that is used in monotyping. So we'll be making mono prints, like holiday Valentine's Day themed heart XOs type thing on jelly plates. So check out Instagram stories this week. We'll probably have some of those. If you're curious about the jelly plates, that wiggly little synthetic gelatin plate, you can also look on our YouTube channel and our Facebook page. Both have videos talking about how to use a jelly plate. All right. And then they will work on kind of these portraits and these faces the whole month long. Cool. All right, I'm going to move on. We're going to chat about drawing. So drawing classes, and I didn't bring much for drawing. I thought I brought the curriculum. There it is. Drawing classes are starting a new month. We wrapped up for our 101 and our advanced realistic. Remember, they follow the same curriculum, just kind of one step up for that advanced realistic. So they wrapped up their winter theme last month. This month we're moving into figure and portraiture for them as well. So this is a challenge, right? I mean, drawing people is hard. My comic and cartooning people have been drawing people all year, right? That's what they do. They draw characters. But with our 101 and our advanced realistics, we're looking for not a character necessarily, but a realistic picture of a person. So they're going to start their first week doing portraiture and learning about the proper placement, the proper proportions, the proper scale of a person's face. So we'll get to the rest of the body, but they're going to start with the face first in week 1. They'll get to draw themselves because self-portraiture is, I mean, I couldn't even tell you how many self-portraits I've drawn in my entire life, because when you study art and then you go to school for art, you draw a lot of self-portraits. So, I mean, it's a subject that's always with you, right? It's a subject that we love. So they'll draw a self-portrait. They will probably also draw friends. So especially in the 101 class, because they don't draw for as long, they might draw a self-portrait in class and then also draw a friend across the table from them. So we'll get a little bit of a community aspect there. As the month goes on, we'll move down the body. We'll learn the skeletal system and a little bit of the musculature and how everything hangs on this armature and how it moves. We'll get to do gesture drawings, which are quick, fast sketches that get movement in for a figure. We'll work big with charcoal. The kids will get a chance to model, which is always a fun part of art class. So they'll get to stand up on the tables and be a model for their class. Some of the classes will get out the dress up clothes. So it gets kind of silly, which is important because this is not an easy curriculum. So it's important to keep it lighthearted. So it is a fun month. Some kids love portrait and figure and some really struggle with it. So we're trying to be real sensitive with that, but it's a great lesson. And it's one that everyone can benefit from. So, I mean, I benefit from more portrait and figure practice. And I've been making art a long time. All right. Our comic and our cartooning stuff, they get to do, we didn't really have a title for this one, but it's all these lessons that Ms. Grace has collected in years of teaching comic and anime. They don't really fit in a monthly theme, but the kids really ask for them. And there are 3 lessons. One is called Chibi Animals, one is called Robots and Mecha Suits, and one is called Onomatopoeia. And so they will do those 3 lessons. We just call it bonus fun stuff. Starting next month in March is when we really drill down and we focus on their comic and their art show piece. And so we want to get these 3 lessons in before that starts. So this week, they'll be doing what they call chibi animals, which are these cute, stylized, bubble-shaped like animals. But they have certain characteristics to them, so they'll play with those characteristics and apply them to different animals that they know. It's another way of forming characters, but not humanoid characters, animal characters. So it's chibi animals this week before they move on to the robots and the mecha suits, and then the onomatopoeia, which is my favorite. I would do onomatopoeia, but robots and mecha suits are totally out of my wheelhouse. Oh, what did I do? Sorry, wrong direction, I think, or I messed up the, well, heck. I messed up the slideshow. Okay, well, I don't have one for multimedia, apparently. Oh, well. It's Monday, right? It's okay. It didn't say anything except for multimedia at the top. So you're not missing anything. It'll make my timestamps harder to make. Okay, I want to talk to you about our multimedia classes. It's a brand new month for us and we are starting printing. And I brought visual aids to show you what the kids are going to be working with. I didn't bring a lot. Well, I bought some art, but not a lot of finished art, but just the tools that we use. So let's go through what each of the grade levels are going to be working with supply-wise, because it's a little bit different depending on the age of the kids. Printing is a huge art discipline. And it is everything from stamps to the monoprints, the jelly plates, to etching and printing, to carving and printing, to woodblock prints, to collagraphs, which we're going to talk about, to screen printing. It's a huge discipline. So we have a lot of options when we say we're doing printmaking month, and it's hard to narrow them down, but all of our kids are going to be working with what we call a relief print or a block print. And so we talked about in the preschool classes that they were doing mono prints on jelly plates. And that type of print is one that can only be pulled once. Once you pull it, like the printing surface has been ruined and it cannot be pulled again. Like you can't pull more than one. Something like a stamp that you might be really familiar with is a type of block or relief print, right? Like I can take a stamp, put it in a stamp pad and print over and over and over and over and over again. Each one of those prints that I make with my stamp is an original piece of art, even though it's like a copy, right? But it's going to have small differences from one piece to the next. So it is considered original art. That is a relief or a block print. All of our kids are going to be making relief and block prints using different materials. So we're going to start first off with my K1s and second thirds. And this is an example. The instructors came in yesterday and just kind of played with printing stuff. And this was mine that I was playing with. And this is a black print or a relief print. You can see some of them are green because like you can see through it with my virtual background, but that's okay. But hopefully you can tell that it is a print. This is done using printing ink and foam shapes. So picture, you know, when you go to the grocery store and you buy meat and it comes on a styrofoam tray, that density and that thickness we can buy in sheets from a company called Innovart that makes it. And then they're cut into shapes and drawn on with a pencil. That's not one of them here. This is a good one. You can see this one. It's drawn on with a pencil, which causes it to like dent down. And so when it prints, it makes that, right? Everywhere I drew is white and because it's pushed down in the stamp. So this is what they're going to be printing with. So we've got large sheets of foam and they're going to be making their pieces. Their subject matter for this month is ice cream cones. And you can kind of tell that's the shapes that are here, right? So we've got cone shapes and circle shapes, and they get stacked together into an ice cream cone. So they have multiple steps. They have to understand printmaking, of course, and then they have to make each of their pieces. They have to cut them out. They have to create the design or pattern that's on the foam shape, and then they have to print them. So it'll be fun. It's a fun process to both make the stamp and create the print. It's 2 steps. In week 1, our kindergartners and our second and third graders, first grade, second, third, and then homeschool is also doing this project. They are going to get the concept of what they're going to work on, but they're not actually going to make their pieces. They're just going to play with printing. So we have shapes already made that they can learn the printing process, because that in and of itself is tricky. The tools that they will use, and I brought those as well. We already talked about the ink. So this is our, it's a speedball block printing ink. It's kind of like paint. It comes out of the tube like toothpaste, but it's sticky. And so when we roll it with a brayer, this is the tool that we use to roll the ink nice and thin on our foam, because if you don't roll it nice and thin, you don't get the crisp lines, right? So you roll it nice and thin, it makes a kissing noise. It goes on the jelly plate when we roll it. So this is our brayer, and then this is our baren, and that is what you use to press your plate and your paper together. And so it's got kind of a silky linen cover on it. You can hear it, and you push down and you press. So we use these tools. It's a brayer and a baren that they use in their printing. So they're going to learn that process so that in week 2, they can start making all of their shapes. Wear old clothes to the studio this week, because water soluble, but that doesn't mean it's washable. Okay. Just because it's water soluble doesn't mean it won't stain, especially the colors. Well, and the black. If you wore white and used black ink, it could also stain. All right, so that is what our young kids are going to do. Our 4th and 5th graders are going to be also building a black printing plate, but theirs is not made out of foam. Theirs is going to be made out of manila folders. And this is something called a collagraph. 'Collagraph'. So in the foam, what we're going to do is we're going to we have a piece of foam and you use a pencil to remove the surface, right? We're almost like carving, only, I mean, it's a pencil, so it's not dangerous, but it's carving. In a collagraph, instead of carving away layers, you build up layers. So you start with a flat surface and then you glue on, and this is colored because it was inked. This was printed. This is not the finished print. This is the printing plate. And you can see this is a cityscape that has been printed. And so we glue on all these pieces. And so it becomes this textural plate. And this one, when it's printed, looks like this. So this is a collagraph. It's a lot of cutting and it's a lot of gluing. This is the plate that we build. This is the art that we make from it, and it's a print. This is not exactly what they're doing. I thought it was a really great example of what a collagraph looked like. What they're going to be working on is actually one of our projects that we did over the summer, and we really enjoyed it. It was this nighttime cityscape with a bat signal. And it's all printed. This is a good example of one. So these buildings are all printed using a collagraph plate. And then on top of that print, we make a second print of our bat signal. So they'll get to decide what their signal is going to be. This is Miss Grace's, so of course it's filled with bats, but theirs could be filled with some other symbol. It doesn't have to be a bat. Okay. So that's their printing project for the month. Just like our K1s and our second thirds, our fourth and fifth graders are going to just play with printing. They will learn what their project is, but they're not going to start building their project at all in week one. They will just get to play with these tools and practice the printing process. All right, and then my last one for my middle schoolers, my high schoolers. So this is like 6th, 7th, 8th through 12th if you're in Liberty, or if you're in Flatwoods, it's called middle school, high school. You guys are going to be I didn't bring my carving tools. I meant to. You guys are going to be carving. So we have these, I wanted lino, but I couldn't get it because not in the numbers that we needed. So I wanted gray lino and I couldn't get it. So this is like a soft cut, almost a pink eraser kind of material. It is 9 by 6. And so this is theirs that they will get to carve away. They're going to design a graphic 2-color landscape, and then use their carving tools that are sharp to remove areas. So again, we're back to this like removing or carving away. Whatever we carve away becomes white in our picture. Okay. So this was actually Miss Liz's. So hers is a little bit bigger because it's what we had in the closet when she made it last month. We didn't have these yet. And then this is the final print for that. Isn't that cool? Right. So their first week will be designing their landscape, transferring that onto the printing surface, and starting carving. Although most of them will not actually to start carving the first week, but it is a long time. Like it takes time to use these tools to and remove this, and you want to go slow because if you remove it, there's no eraser. Like you can't put it back. So yeah, be careful. So go slow, take your time. So that's what our big kids will be doing. Hopefully they can get it carved in 2 weeks, and that way the fourth week can be a printing week for them. Like I said, this is their size that they'll be working on. Sound good? Printmaking month is a super fun month. It's one of our favorites. I like it because it's not one that I think they're exposed to as much as like drawing and painting or even collage. So it's fun to do printmaking with them. All right, couple of housekeeping things, and then I'll let you guys go. The first is that summer programming is live today, technically as of 9, but I believe it's all up, I think. Well, I shouldn't say that. So like all the programming's up on the Sawyer, but I got to go update the website as soon as I'm done here. But it's there, it's just hidden, but it'll be up there at 9 o'clock today. And then the last thing is don't forget to sign up for spring break camps. I know that we're running low on spots. So if you're planning on joining us, there aren't very many. Make sure that you check that out and get signed up for those if you're planning on coming. So I think that is it, you guys. I hope everyone has an amazing week and that you are staying warm out there. And I will chat with you guys again next week.